So recently I posted asking if anybody knew the difference between these three bars. So quick explanation on what the difference between all these four bars are is we have three different brands here, four very different bars. Two from Firehooks Unlimited, an Acheron bar, and a Paratech. The obvious difference between these four bars is the Paratech, which stands out as a three-piece bar. Okay? It is not a single forged like these three. It is three separate pieces. Both the adze end, the shaft, and the forks are all three different pieces that are pinned into place, which creates a weak point on the Halligan itself, on both ends. These bars are also more considerably heavier. They usually come in a 36, you'll find quite often. This one is a 30. All three bars are 30 inches in length. But there's more difference than just single piece forged and three-piece bars. Even when we get into the two from Firehooks themselves, they're two very different bars. When we start breaking down all the different parts of a Halligan, and if we start at the adze end, all of them have an adze that is roughly 6 inches in length. These three have adzes that are 2 inches wide. So with our 30-inch bar, 2-inch wide adze, we get a 15-to-1 mechanical advantage on prying inside the door. When we come to the Maximus Rex, we have a 2 3/4 inch adze. So roughly, dividing that over 30, we're getting about 11-to-1 mechanical advantage. We're losing some mechanical advantage, we're getting 3/4 of an inch of spread. Okay? This can be good and bad. A lot of people will tell you a wide adze makes an easy door easy and a hard door hard. Okay? But we look further into that. All the adze have a different level of curve to them. The Acheron has a very large curve. It's huge, and it sticks out past the end of the adze end where it attaches to the shaft, making striking this tool very difficult as you put it in, because you have a really rounded surface, which tends to make guys deflect their striking tools off of it more. Okay? While it's good to have that nice bevel, that curve in the adze to get in and around the jamb, unlike the Paratech three-piece, where it's a perfectly straight adze, which makes it even more difficult to get in and around the jamb, but we can also look at the bevel that is put on the bar itself. And this bevel on both the Acheron and the Paratech three-piece has been put on the underside of the adze. And that causes a problem for when we're putting the adze in between the door and the soffit on the jamb and prying up, where we did only have 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of soffit to grab on that jamb. We now actually have reduced our contact area by putting a bevel in there, whereas if it was on the top side, we'd still have 5 3/4 of an inch contacting the door, and we'd have full contact of the soffit in the jamb when we pry it up. Also, when we're trying to bring this in and around the jamb on an outward swinging door, as I drive this between the door and the jamb, and I have to get around that soffit, this bevel is actually going to drive the adze into the door more, while I'm trying to fight it to get it in and around that soffit. Whereas if I had the bevel on this side, it's going to catch that soffit in the jamb and actually ride around it a lot easier. Okay? So there's a lot more to it. We look at the curve, we look at the bevel. Okay? The Pro bar has a nice, gentle curve. Okay? There's no real bevel, but it smooths off completely the whole way around. Okay? Maximus Rex, beveled, not really, smoothed off the whole way, nice curve. They both stay relatively nice and flat to keep a good striking surface when we're driving in our forks. Okay? The thickness of our forks and adze are really seen when we look at our three-piece versus any of our single-piece forks. Okay? When we're driving in to force a door, say on our inward swinging, and we've got to drive it all the way in to the crotch of the fork, you can see just how much more work and how much more spread I'm going to have to create in that door in order to sit these Halligan in compared to this one. We also look at the fact that 3 of these bars are made of tool steel, and one of them is made of Halligans steel. It makes it a lot lighter, and it allows for, yet again, even thinner forks and a thinner adze. Okay? All the shafts are generally the same, similar weights. All these are evenly sided with flat sides down to the shoulder of the forks. And now we're going to get to the shoulder of the forks. So when we talk about the forks, here's our shoulder. Now Maximus series bars come with squared shoulders. So when we get to confined spaces, we can slide down and hammer in here to drive it into place. The Pro bar does not come with squared shoulders. I've modified this one. They come rounded. So it needs to be ground down in order to get in. Okay? Your 3-piece has practically no shoulders at all. That's not a technique you're going to be able to do with this tool. Bring in your Acron, and it does actually have a squared shoulder on the one side, but on the other side it's got the carrying strap hook. Okay? So this is going to get in the way of you being able to slam it in. Right? We then talk about the forks, and we've talked about their thickness and how important that can be. We also look at the ends and how much ramp they have. There's a large ramp on that, and even while we've been forcing this door today, guys have had a lot more trouble getting this door in, bevel to door, because these ramps that get in the way. If we really thin down those forks, and we have no ramp at all, or next to no ramp at all, because it's a nice thin fork, it's just going to make it that much easier for us to get into the door. Now, for anybody that wants to do through the lock and pull doorknobs, the gap in the end of your forks is important. The Maximus series comes with a 7/8 gap that allows us to get around the doorknob and snap them off when they're around doorknobs. Pro bar comes with about a 5/8 3/4 inch gap. So I've had to carve this one out to get it to 7/8 so I can do that. So it does not come ready to do that. 3-piece Paratech is 3/8 of an inch the entire way through. This is not going to get anywhere around the doorknob. You got about 5/8 to half an inch sitting on the Acron. Again, not going to get around the doorknob. Okay? This is just a small part looking to the many different things that make a Halligan a Halligan. So like I say, we've got 3 different brands here and 4 extremely different Halligans. The more we start to understand these hand tools, understand all the bits and the whys of why each part is there, then the better we can handle the gray areas of our job where you need to handle things on the fly. When something goes not as planned, you're going to have to think outside the box. And by knowing your tools that well and knowing the capability of each tool, now you can problem solve. When it comes to ordering these tools, the price range here, the difference between this one and this one, you're looking at like $30. To move up to a Maximum Rex series or Maximus series, we're now looking at maybe $60 more than your Paratech. Okay, but that's $60 more for a Halligan that comes completely ready to go, no modifications required. It even comes with your gap and set lines already on your forks. Your gap lines for when you're going in to make sure you don't drive through the jam. Your set lines to make sure you're set fully into the door to force so that you don't skin anything. And set lines also on the adze end, so again you don't keep driving into the jam. Between your Acron single-piece forged bar or Paratech single-piece forged bars, which I don't have here with me, and a Pro bar, the prices are the same, and I would be willing to bet you probably actually even paid more for the Acron, though I can't swear to that. But they're all the same roughly when you get to these single-piece forged bars, especially when they're made of tool steel. But they're very different bars, and one is significantly more capable than the other. Okay? So that's why I asked that question the other day. This is my point of opinion. A lot more people have more to say about it, and I'm sure I've missed even a few things. Okay? We need to know our tools, especially the people that are buying them for us.